Kareem answered on the second ring, which means he was awake and not busy, which on a Tuesday night could mean anything from watching something on his laptop in the middle existential spiral on his bathroom floor. With Kareem, you learn to gauge by the quality of his hello. His hello was tired but present. Bathroom floor was unlikely. Hey, I said. Hey, what happened? Not a question, a statement. Kareem knows my voice. I sat down on my couch. I need to tell you something, I said, and I need you to let me through the whole thing before you say anything. A pause. That's never good, he said. No, I agreed. It's not. I told him everything. The letter, the envelope, the 6 weeks Bible on the kitchen floor, Patricia Mills and her careful handwriting, Daoud Osman Mills and his LinkedIn profile, and my father's jaw in a stranger's face. 7 years of saying nothing. The message, my response, the message back. I talked for a long time. Kareem was quiet the entire time. I could hear him breathing, which I found grounding, which is a strange thing to notice, but I noticed it. He was listening the way Kareem listens when he's listening completely. No interruptions, no sound of response, just present. When I was done, there was a silence that lasted maybe 15 seconds. Then he said quietly, I know. I stopped. What do you mean you know? I mean, I know or I knew something. Not what you know, but something. He told me about Thanksgiving. He'd been home junior year, November, and Baba had stepped outside to take a phone call, which was not unusual because Baba often takes his calls outside. He was a man who liked his telephone conversations private. What was unusual was that Kareem had been on the back porch in the dark sitting out there because he did that sometimes because Kareem has always needed some air more than the house provided. He heard enough. He didn't hear a name. He didn't hear the details. What he heard was specific quality of his father's voice during a conversation, something serious that didn't involve engineering or work or family, logistic. The specific quality of a man talking about something that cost him something. And then at the end, his father saying Kareem said he'd replayed because these words, so many times they worn grooves in him. I know. I know. I'll figure out how to do it right by him. Him. Kareem had stood on the porch in the November dark and understood, without understanding the details, that his father had a him somewhere. A him somewhere. He went inside and said nothing. Why didn't you tell me? I said. A pause. Because, Kareem said. And I could hear him choosing his words carefully in a way he doesn't usually choose words carefully. You would have handled it. You would have done exactly what you did, taken it, organized it, decided what everyone needed, managed it, and you would have been fine. And he stopped. I didn't want to give you one more thing to be fine about. I sat with that very specific ache of it. Kareem, I said. I know, he said. You've been carrying this for 7 years, yeah, while not being able to hold a job and not being able to explain to anyone why. Nadia, I'm not accusing you. I stopped. I started again. I think I realized that I've spent 7 years managing everyone's relationship to Baba's memory, and I didn't notice that you were quietly losing yours. Silence. There ain't a voice that was working to be light and not quite succeeding. Well, now you've noticed. We talked about for 2 more hours about Baba, the full version, the complicated version, the one that holds both real love and the real failure at the same time without needing to resolve them into something clearer, something more cleaner. What it means to grieve someone who turned out to be more than you knew, about whether that changes the grief or just adds on to it. Kareem thought about for a while and then said, I think it makes it lonelier because now the grief has a room in it that you can't share with anyone because you didn't know about the room. And that to me was the most precise thing I heard anyone say about this in 7 years. Daoud wants to meet, I said eventually. Yeah, Kareem said, obviously. I want to go. Yeah, he said again, obviously. Do you want to come? A pause. Yes, he said. He's my brother. He said it simply, not fanfare, the way you say a fact. And something in me, some load-bearing tension I had known I was still holding, released. I told Imani the following Sunday. I told Kareem I was going to. He asked if I wanted him there, and I said I needed to do this alone. I drove to her house, the house she and Marcus bought 2 years ago. Marcus's car wasn't there. She answered the door in her home clothes. A soft, set gray, hair wrapped, no makeup. And the thing about being Imani without her presentation is that she looks younger. Like the 22-year-old girl she was when she got married, still right under the surface, preserved by the habits of the house she requires to be put together. She made tea green without the cardamom, which is the way she makes it. We sat in our living room, which is a beautiful room, I might add, decorated with care and taste, and which I always found that slightly airless, in a way I couldn't name until I watched Imani move through it. She moved like a guest, like someone navigating furniture that was chosen by someone else's hand. I told her about the letter, about Daoud, about the 7 years. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "How did you do it? How did you hold on 7 years without? How did you not?" I said, "I just didn't let myself think about it directly. I think around it. I think about Mama and I think what it would cost her. And I think about Baba and what he would have wanted. Or I think about timing. After this settles, after that passes, I always was thinking around it." "That's what I do," Imani said. She said it like a discovery. "I know," I said. "With Marcus. I know." She looked at her tea. "Nadia, I think I've been thinking around my marriage for 4 years." "I know. I keep thinking, after we go through this rough patch, after I figure out how to communicate better, after I stop being so sensitive, after I become..." She stopped with a deep sigh. "There's always an after." "What would you think about if you stopped thinking around it?" I asked. She was quiet again for a long time, a deep long time. Outside, we can hear the cars going by. A dog barked twice and stopped. "I think about who I was before him," she said finally, "and whether I remember her well enough to find her again." We sat there for a while. I thought about what I'd said to her about Mother's Kitchen. Her marriage is not your marriage. I thought about what I'd said to Kareem. "You have been quietly losing yours." I thought about Tariq putting the ring down between us and me, handing it back and telling him it was about timing. All of us, I thought, every one of us in our different ways, thinking around the things instead of it. "I'm going to tell Mama," I said, "about Daoud soon. I don't know exactly when, but soon. Before I meet him, at least." Imani looked at me. "How do you think she'll take it?" "I don't know. I've been predicting that for 7 years, and I actually don't know. She might surprise me." "She does," Imani said. "She surprises you right when you think you figured out what she'll do." Yeah, we were quiet again. Then Imani said, "I told Marcus I needed space last week. I asked him to stay with his brother for a couple weeks." I looked at her. "He didn't want to go," she continued. "He said I was overreacting. He said I was being dramatic. He used that word." Her jaw tightened slightly. Dramatic. I just looked at him and thought, I spent 4 years making myself quieter and smaller and less dramatic, and I'm still too dramatic. And I thought, what would I have become to be the right amount? And I realized I didn't want to find out. She said it steadily, not crying, past crying, maybe into the particular still place that comes after a long decision finally lands. "Good," I said. She blinked. "Good?" "I mean, I'm sorry it hurts, and I know this is going to be complicated, and Mama's going to have feelings, but..." I looked at her. "I've been watching you wallow yourself for 4 years, Imani, and I'm glad you stopped." She looked at me for a long moment. "You've been watching?" "Of course, I've been watching. You're my sister." "Why didn't you say anything then?" And there it was, the question. Because I said, "I've been so focused on not disrupting anything that I forgot disruption is sometimes the point." She laughed, a short, surprised sound. Then she picked up her tea. "We're a mess, girl," she said. "We're a work in progress," I said. "There's a difference." I drove home that evening thinking about the shape of what was coming. Mama, Malik, the meeting with Daoud, Imani's marriage unraveling and needing somewhere soft to land. Kareem in 7 years of quietly losing his footing and now maybe a chance to find it again. I thought about what my therapist said, which was, and yes, I do have a therapist. I have a therapist. I've had one for 4 years. She's quiet. Black woman named Dr. Reeves, who says very little but asks the right question, and I pay her to have conversations I don't have anywhere else. 4 years of weekly sessions, and the main thing she said in different ways is this: you have made yourself the container for everyone else's experience. The work is learning to have your own. I've been working on it, slowly, in a way of someone who's good on working on things for other people and still learning to do it for herself. I chuckle in my head.